Bachelor in Paradise Season 6 brought us drama, a wedding, engagements, and heartbreak, all under the Mexican sun. And I have to say, Paradise is what I look forward to all year. Sure, the Bachelor and Bachelorette seem to be the big draw, but there was something refreshing about Paradise, and how it takes itself way less seriously. I mean, just look at the intro for it. In your eyes, paradise. It's where we get to see all our favorite contestants come back and get a second chance at love. With each other. And Bachelor Nation's favorite pastime is shipping couples. So this became the perfect show to fill our summer with Bachelor content. Not to mention, where else can you get 3 engagements in one season? But how did this year hold up? Was it the good old trashy TV we love to devour, or was it just trash TV? So like we have with The Bachelor and Bachelorette, we're going to be divvying out grades, this time for Bachelor in Paradise Season 6. Now, while grading the seasons of The Bachelor and Bachelorette, I looked at 3 main categories to help me come up with an overall grade. The lead, the women or men, and the production. And we're going to be keeping with 2 of these categories for this grading video, and also adding a new one. First, the men or women, or for the sake of Bachelor in Paradise, the cast. This will be covering the overall entertainment value of the cast. And I want to be clear that entertainment comes in many forms, and is up to an individual's opinion. Could someone say that Jordan power-slamming Christian over a piñata was entertaining? Of course they could. Does it get high marks from me? Not really, because what I find entertaining about watching Bachelor in Paradise is more than just brawls on the beach. Otherwise, Bachelor in Paradise would be 2 hours of WWE pay-per-view instead of a show about romance in your swimwear. Which brings me to my new category. Level of romance. Potentially a category I could add to other season gradings as well. But with the absence of a lead, I felt there was a category that needed to be added, and this one speaks to something I've mentioned before. The whole frickin' point of the show. We love drama, yes, but at the end of the day, the premise of the whole show is that these people are here to find love. Or at least a relationship. So, how did this season deliver on its premise? Last up is the production. If you've watched my last video, you'll know what I'm talking about. Not the camera crew and sound guy. I'm looking at anything we saw on TV that was influenced by producers or felt like it had the producer's fingerprints written all over it. Once each of these categories gets a grade, we'll be able to match it all together into one final grade for the season. So let's talk about category 1, the cast. According to Chris Harrison, this was the largest Paradise cast to date, so we got to see a number of faces from recent and older seasons. Chris B. from countless seasons, Dean, Bibiana, Blake, and of course the recent Bachelor and Bachelorette grads like Hannah G. or Mike. But how was the cast? I'll admit, for a while I felt a little bit behind during this season. What I mean by that is that I felt like Paradise started months before this season began, and this is a strange reality I think we're just going to have to get used to. Because you can't ban people from going to Stagecoach or seeing each other before going on the show, and even if you tried to, it would be near impossible to police. But it sure felt weird having contestants already halfway into relationships, or in some cases halfway out, before even stepping onto the beach. Part of the charm of Paradise is when couples have expectations of who they might want to explore, and then they're surprised by someone else. Take JPJ and Tayshia, for example, one of my favorite couples this season. Part of their charm was that it was unexpected. How many times did I see people shipping JPJ and Demi in the months before the show aired? Not many people were calling JPJ and Tayshia. So many of these couplings and the drama here left me feeling uninvested. Just, bam, Blake is a complete sleazeball. Okay, sure. Let me play catch-up here. And the funny thing about it is the only couples that, quote, lasted were the ones who didn't start something before Paradise. Not including Demi and Christian, which was a special case. Chris B and Katie, Dylan and Hannah, JPJ and Tayshia, Dean and Kaylin, even Nicole and Clay, who aren't a couple anymore, but hey, they lasted until the final rose ceremony. Don't get me wrong, I want to see drama about couplings in Paradise as much as the next person, but I want to see it with current couples. Unless, of course, it's couples that were on past seasons of Paradise together. But not the stagecoach stuff. John Paul Jones, even though he was way off with how he acted at Chris and Crystal's wedding, was completely goofy, fun, and unpredictable. Not only that, he brought the romance too. Then there was Chris B and Katie, who were real, even if it wasn't easy. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of stuff that happened that left me, unexcited. I mean, what was Christina doing the whole time? And don't tell me it was her master plan to get Blake not to be with anyone at the end of the show. I don't buy that. Even Matt Donald, who I had high hopes for, got dumped for being superficial. And I'm happy that I no longer have to hear Clay talk about Angela anymore. The cast gets a C+. Alright, so let's move on to the romance. A new category introduced for Paradise, and its goal is simply to look at how well the season accomplished its premise, helping Instagram stars find love. Now, one thing is undeniable this season. We had 3 engagements. I mean, I can't say F for a season that ended with 3 engagements, but I will say the romance seemed to get packed in right at the end. So much of this Blake stagecoach stuff took up the early parts of the season that the romance felt squeaked in near the end. We saw couples together, but it didn't seem emphasized until the last little bit of the season. That being said, there was a good amount of romance. Hannah and Dylan were an easy relationship, well, after the first week or so. Katie and Chris B were solid even though things were never easy, which, by the way, I want to give marks for, because real fighting and real problems is something that normal relationships deal with, even the best ones. We get so caught up in the fairy tale of Paradise over so many seasons that actually seeing something that isn't a fairy tale seems refreshing to me. And the number one thing that draws me in on the show is when something feels genuine. We also had JPJ and Tayshia, although they had their ups and downs, but they were unique and hey, apparently they're still together. So when it comes to the romance, I'm giving this season of Bachelor in Paradise a B+. Even if some of it was rushed, hey, 3 engagements speak for itself. Finally, we have our last category, the production. Okay, so this season we had something that seemed so producer-forced. A lot of people were miffed by it, regardless of how they felt about the 2 people involved. And that was the introduction of Christian into Paradise. Now, I like them. I think Demi brings a lot to the franchise and was great at providing entertaining commentary. But it all seemed a little fishy. As in, pre-planned fishy. I'm not saying the relationship is fake, far from it, nor am I saying Derek was in on it in some sort of mega conspiracy. But Chris Harrison just coming in and saying, "We found Christian and she's here because we really love you and we want to make sure you find love," is hard to buy at face value. Now, how much Demi, Christian, and Derek knew about this all is hard to know for sure, but I can certainly speculate that the producers had more knowledge on all of this than they're letting on. And believe me, as happy as I am to see the relationship unfold on national TV and open up the franchise to more possibilities, the pre-planned stuff is starting to wear on me, and we saw similar things in Hannah's season. There are other ways this could have played out and still been just as satisfying, if not more. Demi comes on as a bartender with Wells, for example. They've done it before when they brought on Yuki to co-bartend. Demi has shown she's funny, gives out good advice, and does well with commentary. So have her bartend. Then bring on Christian so Demi can find her love as well. Boom, engagement. Boom, happy ending. Then you don't have to have people cry out, "Why are they still on? Why not let them go home together?" Or the people that are angry that Demi had a relationship before going on Paradise. All the while, you still get all those juicy ratings. Oh, then there was the Connor, Whitney, ooh, just missed ya moment that also seemed pre-planned. Not to mention the increased number of fake-outs in the promos and previews. There were at least 2 instances of fake engagements shown. This one here was actually Jared and Ashley, and this one here was from Jordan and Jenna the year before. The number of fake-outs and fake storylines seemed extra this year, and for that, the production gets a D-. The lone reason it's not worse is because of the old Matt Donald kiss edit. Remember this? Whew, that was gold. So when you mash all of these scores together, the final grade I'm giving Bachelor in Paradise Season 6 is a C. This season had tons of producer influence and storylines from well before the show aired, like all the stagecoach stuff, and that ended up bringing down its score. What held it up was the fact that we ended up getting 3 engagements. So that's it for this video on grading Bachelor in Paradise Season 6. Hope you enjoyed it. The countdown for Peter's season of The Bachelor has begun, and I'll have more off-season content on the way until we're back with recaps and preview breakdowns. So until then, Bachelor Fantake, out.
Almost